So here is going to be the perfect example to show to you guys why I find the kids so much easier to work with in the education system and how the parents are the ones actually making it worse for their own children. And I'm going to be able to show you this because I'm going to be able to tell you of a success story of my own brother, okay? Because I'm trying to actually get the adults to wake up, okay? So here's what just happened. My brother, my youngest brother, he's 15, and my brothers growing up, I always monitored their education out of curiosity. But, especially my youngest brother now, knowing how screwed the system is and the fact that obviously I teach maths and science, I've always said to him, like, if you ever need any help, just give me a call. If you and your friends need any help, let me know and we'll set something up. And we even for a while were doing, we were actually doing weekly maths tutoring, which he asked me for. Okay. So again, this is what I'm saying. It's so funny how people talk about the younger generation, right? But these are my experiences, but I'm just sharing this one because it's my brother, so I can share it. But this is a normal type of occurrence for me, when I work with the kids. And I'm going to explain to you how the parents ruin it. This is actually a success story, so that's not the case here, obviously. But yeah, so obviously I monitor what he does. So anyways, he's 15 going on 16, and he just started year 11, right? So his final year of school, secondary school. And obviously I've been more paying attention and keep checking in with him, like, about what's happening. And I discovered at the end of last year that he was doing mock exams. So I said to him, and this is the thing, this is a regular occurrence with me and the kids. I said to him, I was like, look, if you take this seriously, because it's the same conversations I'd be having at this time of year, start of the school year. This is exactly what I'd be telling the kids and the parents, and it's the parents who ruin everything, okay? For their own child. That's why I've got frustrated, because I'm like, there's nothing I can do. If you're the ultimate authority, and you should be, but then if you're going to trust your kids with the teachers, then maybe you should trust the experts, right? Well, also I've decided I'm going to do a whole video to show you guys what these exams are really like. So stay tuned for that as well. Anyways, so I discovered he was doing mock exams quite late, like as in they were about to be in a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, if you take these seriously, this is going to really help you for next year. Like, because a year from now, you'll be sitting your actual exams. If you take this seriously, that will give you an entire year, right, where you can have identified what areas you need to work on. So I just left that with him. I didn't monitor him, and I don't with the kids. I give them good advice, and I just kind of give them space, right? Because they're figuring it out, and no one likes being treated as if you don't take anything seriously, and nobody likes being micromanaged. That's why I feel like parents are micromanaging their kids a lot when it comes to doing things like homework and stuff. And I try to tell them, like, I think you need to just chill, but they don't listen. Or they'll tell me, I don't think you've set enough homework. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm the one who's here. I'm the one who can do this. You can't. And more importantly, I've sat the same exams as these kids. I've actually sat these exams. You guys are on the old system. And that's the thing that annoys about adults. Because always back in our day, this is how we did things. Yeah, well, it's not your day. It's not your day. It's your child's day. So wake up, right? Anyways, so this was ages ago, months ago, I told him this, right? So I left him to it, and I don't know. And I didn't know whether he took the advice or not. But when it comes to the kids, I find if you're hammering on them, they're not going to do it. If you give them a sense of trust and you just tell them, hey, I'm not going to micromanage you, because this is what I do with the kids. I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm going to do what I'm here to do. And it's up to you what you want to do. And I also don't lie to them. So I don't tell them this is your whole future, because it's not. I tell them, look, and education isn't the only way to get to succeed in life, but it will help you a lot if you have one. So you may as well just do it, because you have to be here anyway. That's what I say to them. Like, you have to be here. So you may as well just take it seriously and do well and have more options. And I explain them to that like a game. I'm like, add more chess pieces to your game. Like, this is how I kind of explain it to the kids. So anyway, fast forward, he gets his results, right? And bro got maximum marks. And bearing in mind, he's doing a paper that is built for where he's supposed to be at the end of this academic year, but he just did it in July before he finished school. Bro got the highest mark you can get in mathematics, and they shot him straight up to the top set maths. And he did so well that his own friends his own people in his class said that he got lucky. And I told you guys, this is the thing. Losers always believe in luck. Winners put in the work. So little unbeknownst to me, and again, I wasn't micromanaging. I gave the bit of trust. He's 15. Like, you know what I'm saying? And also, I'm just his big sister. Honestly, my brothers, I tend to spend a day or something with them, and then I don't really speak to them almost at all for like a couple months. That's how it goes, you know, like with your siblings. But anyway, and so yeah, and he did well in other subjects. So he did very well, and he did put in the work. He put the work in, and of course, you know, the losers of around him who just believe, how could you ever do that well? And I'm going to show you guys what kind of papers these guys were doing, so you can see that there's no way you get lucky in maths. Now, the chemistry needs some work. But you see now, because he took my advice, right? Unlike what the parents are like, which we're going to come to in a second. He took my advice, he went and he did the work, and he got the results. So now he is already at the top mark for mathematics, like all these months ahead of time. And this is what I try to help the parents to understand when I'm trying to give advice of what to do. But you see, the parents look at me like I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Like, that's not how you did it when it was your time, like whatever. But then you're the same ones who panic when your child is having panic attacks the couple of weeks before because they're cramming everything in at the last 2 weeks. Because I always say, panic early so that when you get to the time of your exams, so I say at the start of the year, panic at the start of the year. So by the time you get to your exams, you feel calm, you feel prepared, and you don't have to just be worried that, what if I forget things, because you spent enough time feeling comfortable and confident using the tools that you need, right? And also because you get ahead of it, now you can spend more time on, and because they do a lot of subjects and it's a lot of content. Now his time can be more spread on improving in other subjects and bringing those up to the same level. And this is a normal thing that happens with me and the kids. Me and the kids, I will tell them, I'll give them the advice, I'll give them extra work, I'll tell them, I'll explain everything to them. This is how you have to do it. Go and do this. If you want to revise with this and revise like this. If you want to, for whatever we do in the mock exams, I explain to them, don't worry about what you actually get, because that's the other thing. Parents create so much anxiety in their kids when it comes to education, right? So a lot of times the kids are feeling anxious, not because they can't do it. They get so anxious that they can't even focus because they're just scared of what's going to happen if they come out with a bad grade and they go and tell their parents that they've got a bad grade. So I'm saying the parents are really the problem here. So again, when it comes to things like maths, it is hard. So when you're like trying to learn, learn problem solving skills, which is what makes maths hard when you get past about the age of 11, is you have to start using problem solving skills. That's the thing that also isn't actually really taught in school, that I personally go out of my way to teach, again, from as early as possible. In fact, I start the younger ones, even as early as the 11-year-olds. I start them with the problem solving skills again. So by the time they get to 16, they're used to it. This is easy for them and they're well ahead. They don't have to have that anxiety or that worry. They're not feeling like they're rolling the dice in the exam, because they're going in feeling equipped and feeling prepared for the exams, right? So that's what happens. So what will happen a lot of the time in these situations where I am trying to help parents with their kids and their kids are struggling in these areas, they'll do is I'll give them advice, like I'm saying, and they won't take it seriously. They'll be like, I'll say, if you're going to panic now, I'm happy to help you at this stage of the year as much as possible. Because again, thinking logically, everyone's going to be calling me. Everybody's going to be wanting to speak to teachers 2 weeks before the exams, because everybody's going to be panicking. So maybe we can use our brains, right? So, so say you hadn't had that opportunity, here they usually do mocks in January as well. So that's, again, I'm like, this is the time to panic, because if you can panic now and get through that and overcome it, then you will be in the mental state, the right mental state to do your exams. Because again, most of the time, the kids, the reason they struggle in these subjects is because of their mental state and not because of anything else. That's why I started to feel like a therapist, because it's like, I'm having to teach them skills in how to like kind of calm down. Like, because I always say to them, look, the way I used to do my exams, by the time I got to doing my final exams, I would literally be like so peaceful, and I'll be so peaceful and so prepared. I would literally be hearing classical music in my head. I wasn't rushing. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't guessing. I was just, because that's also the other thing that happens when the anxiety comes in, is they start to guess. Guessing doesn't work with problem solving. Those two things aren't going to work. When you're doing other like easier maths, maybe, but by the time you get to the actual problem solving, you need to know how to problem solve. So then when I'm telling these things to the parents, or I'm suggesting, why don't you get your kids to do this, or let them do this, they'll take it away, and then they'll go and they'll create so much anxiety. They'll be overbearing, they'll be micromanaging, they'll be telling the kids. And again, they don't get why adults think that just doing extra hours adds anything. If your cogs aren't turning, and this is what I try to explain to them again, but again, goes over their heads, and it's because they can't do it either. That's why I'm going to do the video, to show you guys, so you can see you guys can't do this. And that's why I'm so proud of my brother, because I'm like, you're so smart. You are so good for doing this, because this is not easy. And you know what? They've even gone as far as him and his friendship group have asked me if I will organize to teach them all a couple of things, in chemistry, because that's the area a lot of people are struggling in. And again, why do people struggle with chemistry? Because it's another thing where you have to be able to be calm and be able to focus and think logically and trust in logic, even when it doesn't feel right. And that's the hard thing, because then if you're in anxiety, so then the kids, I'll send them off, with their grades. I'll send them off with the stuff that they have to do. I'll organize everything in my lessons. I'm doing everything. They're seeing progress, and then they're coming back, and they're in a state. I'm like, why are they in a state? You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And they're like, their parent took their phone away because they didn't get a high enough grade, and all this stuff. It just induces anxiety. This is what I'm saying. And it really is anxiety. In fact, one of the kids that I was teaching, right, not last year or the year before, her parents have actually had to take her out of school altogether, because they realized that her anxiety in her exams is so severe that it doesn't matter what they do, even though she's been getting extra time for the sake of that, because that's what ends up happening. That's why I feel like I don't really know what parents are trying to do. And then because the parents behave that way, the kids then think they're stupid. Because it's so sad to me, and this is something that truly breaks my heart, because it happens so often, where I'll be working with the kid, right? First, when I always ask them at the beginning, I want to know what all of them want to do when they grow up, because so that we're working towards something. Again, why the education system is just teaching random things and hoping that we're all just rolling the dice on everything. I'm trying to get in their heads and understand what type of way they think, what they would like to do. And it's interesting how when I start working with a lot of these kids, at first, what they want to do, once they realize they can actually do some of these other subjects, they actually change what they want to do. Because the only reason they were saying whatever the other thing is that they were saying is because they didn't think they were capable. And most of the time, the reason they don't think they're capable goes back down to things that have been said to them in their houses and ways that people have treated them because of their grades. Like, they get one bad grade and it's like, oh, you're just clearly not good at maths. You're just clearly stupid. No. Maybe you just need to work on it. Because that's always my thing. I'm like, I always say to the kids, this is why I hate all these predicted grades, target grades, all this stuff. I'm like, let's just shoot for the stars. That's what I say to them. We're just going to aim for as good as possible. This is why I don't like trying to, and then again, you put them in these sets like they do now. This is the bottom set. You guys can only do the foundation paper, so the maximum you can get is a C. Do you think that's going to induce self-confidence? They need to be confident. Confidence is a part of mathematics and science, by the way, because you have to be confident in your own logic to do it properly. So when all this stuff is happening, it's like you guys are wish that your kids could be as more intelligent. But it's like, but you're the one beating the intelligence out of them. It's like this issue that parents have with when kids start to ask the question, why? That is literally the fundamentals of science. Scientists ask why everything. Why? So when you villainize your child for asking the question, why? No no, like, go freaking figure that they don't turn out to do some of these jobs. And it'll be the same parents with these exact behaviors who are the ones who want their kids to go and be engineers and all of this. And they actually could be. But you're the one who's ruining the environment. So that's why, this is why I can't work with this anymore. Because it's like, I can only do so much on my end. You know what I mean? I can only do so much. And a lot of my work gets undone by adults who don't even know what they're talking about, who couldn't even do one of these exams a day in their life. This is why, listen, if I ever get into power, if I ever get an opportunity, or I meet somebody in power who has the opportunity, we're doing one day for every single parent and every single teacher to sit the same exams, maths and English, as their children. Just maths and English, because that day you guys will shut up and you will humble yourselves that day. Because I'm going to show you guys the exams. Don't worry, the video is coming and you'll see. And I would love to see from you guys how many of you guys can do any of it. Meanwhile, you're the ones punishing your kids left and right. I'm not against punishing kids. They need to be punished. We all need to be disciplined. Look, the Lord disciplines me even now. But what I'm saying is, sometimes the environment you're creating, like, children have to be nurtured. You know what I mean? They have to be nurtured. And I know that for you guys, the part of the problem is that you guys weren't nurtured either. But listen, repeating the cycle is crazy. Repeating the cycle is actually crazy. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there. I just thought I would share this because it's just a proof of, this is why I like to hang out with the kids. They're humble. They listen. They follow the advice. And they do things in their own time. You've got to give them a chance. You know what I mean? Give them a chance to mature. Give them a chance to, figure it out. And because when they see that you're giving them a chance, it actually inspires them more to actually try. Because now they see that you trust them to do it, versus a lot of the situations. And this happens to me a lot, like I've said, a lot. And especially with the so-called kids that are badly behaved. It does take some time for us to build the rapport, obviously, with them. But once we have that rapport, it's quite easy to get them to do stuff. And then because they do, they get their work done, they feel more confident. And that, like I said, the sad part for me is the fact that I then see them change what they want to do. Because then I'll ask them later on in the year, so what is it you're thinking of doing? You're still thinking of doing such and such? And then they'll be like, well, actually, I was thinking about, studying biochemistry. And I'm like, that was a change of tune. We wanted to be a journalist at the start of the year. What changed? Their confidence. And this is what I'm saying. The school system, a lot of teachers break the spirits of the kids. They do badly in one test, or they struggle a little bit longer than somebody else. And they immediately are just like, oh, you're signed, sealed, delivered, an idiot, right? Or even the parents do the same thing. You get their report card and you think, oh, you obviously didn't work hard enough. Not the case. And again, there's so many factors. Could be the teachers. I know for a fact, because my brother was even saying that he's got the best teachers now. Loves his teacher, loves his class. I was like, yeah, this is what people don't know. But secretly speaking, they do this in the UK. I've seen it a lot. They always put the better teachers with the higher level students. So the lower level students are always screwed over because they get the riffraff teachers that are really problematic, And so, this is the things. And like, this is what I'm saying. It's easier for me to work with them because yes, do they get distracted? Do they do this? Do they always do things the way I ask? No. But with time and with patience from me, we see results. With the adults, with time and with patience, nothing changes at all. Absolutely. And you'll still be the same ones wondering at the end of the day what happened. You know what I'm saying? Wondering how you got there, wondering. And it's sad to me because I wonder how many kids, and this is what really breaks my heart, even it breaks my heart for the adults. I wonder how many people missed out on doing better just because they weren't in an environment that was nurturing for them. They weren't allowed to grow. They're kids. They're still figuring stuff out. You know what I mean? And you got to move with them at the pace that they're moving at, and just bashing them and just putting all this anxiety over them about their grades doesn't help anything. I always tell them, listen, you just do your best and I'll worry about the rest. So I always say to them, you do your best and I'll worry about the rest. I'm not bothered about what grade you get. I just want you to do your best. And meanwhile, in my mind, I'm thinking, I know you can get the top marks, but I don't put that pressure onto them because they don't need that pressure, because that pressure is going to prevent them from doing the work, particularly for subjects like maths and science, where you have to be able to take that time, relax, and focus and be conscientious. You're not going to be able to do that if you're scatterbrained. You're scared that there's 20 minutes left in the lesson and you have a test tomorrow, and your parents told you that if you don't do well, that they're going to take away your phone and you're not going to be able to go anywhere. And you're not actually being taught anything. You're just being punished, essentially. I hate it here. Yeah, leave it there. But yeah, it was a success. And I didn't even have to overthink it. That's what I'm saying. It was literally just a random conversation we had one day. I just said, "Oh, you're doing mock exams? I would take those seriously, because if you do, it's going to set you up for the future." This is the exact advice I always give, that the parents are the ones who create the barriers to. Because then when their kids are having these mocks or whatever, they're like, "Oh, well, they don't really matter, do they? Because they're just the mock exams. They're not the real thing." This is literally your opportunity for you to actually see where they're at. So if they take them seriously, it's going to make everything so much easier for them. And then everyone's not going to be panicking at the end of the year, because I hate the end of the year panic. And there's not anything you can do now. And I remember that at the end of last year's exam season, there was one kid, that I was teaching, year 11, one of the year 11s. And like one day I just looked at him and I was just like, you have waited way too long to do the work, and you're not going to be able to make up an entire year's worth of work in a couple of weeks. And it wasn't that he wasn't studying. He was. It wasn't that he wasn't trying. He was. It was that the advice that he was following and the way that he had been trained at home to think about his education kept being a barrier between me and him. Because when I'm giving him my advice, he keeps defaulting to his own settings. So I'm telling him, don't guess, take your time. Still guessing. I'm saying, don't worry about how long it's going to take you. Once you do it properly, once you understand it, you'll automatically be able to do it more quickly, because that's true. Defaults to still trying to do it and panicking. But yeah, I know, but I'm worried because I've got 5 minutes to do the question. I'm like, but we're not doing the question now. But I'm not mad at them, because I know where the anxiety comes from. It doesn't come from them. You know what I'm saying? And then even him, when I asked him, I was like, so what is it you want to do? He's like, oh, I don't know. I'll have to see when I get my grades. It's just like, I hate that this is what kids have been reduced to. That now, instead of actually having aspirations or thinking about what you're naturally good at and whatever, like, it's just whatever grades I get, I'll just take whatever I can get. No wonder that this world is a miserable place to be in, to be honest. This is why I hate the education system. This is exactly why I hate the education system, because people come in hopeful. Look how beautiful have you seen kids? I was looking at this video yesterday of these two kids, these two twin boys laughing together. And I was thinking, and this is what breaks my heart every time. I'm like, how sad is it that we start out so hopeful and so happy and so innocent, so imaginative, everything is possible. And then we turn into these type of adults. What goes wrong along the way? A lot. And the education system is a part of it, because it breaks the spirit of kids. That's why I hate it. It's breaking the spirit of kids. Even me had my spirit broken. It's just that I'm competitive, and when people tell me I can't do something, that's the exact moment I have to do it. And that just happens to be my personality type. And now I'm here teaching the very subjects that people didn't even think I could do. Yeah. And anyways, and even for my brother, imagine that he didn't have a sister that does this job. Imagine. That's how serious it is, guys. It's that serious. You see with the kids, this is why I don't joke around when it comes to children. It is that small of a difference. The difference between the adults they're around and the adults they're not around is literally everything. It is not a joke. And that's why I think it's crazy. Parents just take kids to these schools and like, you don't even know these teachers. And then when your kids tell you stuff about the teachers, you don't even believe them. And it's like, but it's true, because the truth is I'm good at maths and chemistry because those were my two best teachers I had at secondary school. That was it. That was literally it. Those are the two teachers I had at secondary school that were the best teachers. So, anyways, life's a game that's played to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.